Okay, let's start this deep dive by painting a picture. It's Wednesday, November 12th, 2025. New Delhi is tense, and at LNJP Hospital, Loknayak Jaiprakash Hospital,
Mhm.
there's this quiet, but it's heavy, heavy security everywhere.
And right in the middle of it, the prime minister shows up.
Exactly. He's literally just back from a state visit, and instead of heading home, he turns his arrival into this act of solidarity right there at the hospital with the survivors of the blast.
Oh, yeah, that image, him at LNJP, really seemed to capture the national feeling that week. We've been digging into all the available material on the Red Fort blast, the one that happened just a couple of days earlier.
Right.
And our goal here, is to really trace things from the blast itself to the immediate aftermath, the human cost, and then get into the, frankly, quite chilling details of the conspiracy that investigators started uncovering.
And it's that image of the PM that really sticks. You picture him, right? Security all around, but he's moving through those hospital wards. They smelled strongly of antiseptic, apparently. He spent a good hour there, bedside to bedside, not rushing, just present, in his usual kurta, making this quiet, personal promise of justice.
It felt symbolic, but also necessary.
Right.
Because the people affected, they weren't just numbers on a news report, they were individuals.
Real people.
His being there, actually listening to them, hearing their stories, even through the pain. It was like the first step in trying to, stitch the nation's morale back together. A shift from diplomacy straight into crisis mode.
Okay, so let's anchor ourselves back to the explosion itself, Monday, November 10th, 2025. And the time is seared into the city's memory. 6:52 p.m. sharp.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this wasn't minor. The sources are clear. It was a huge fireball explosion.
And the location just tells you so much.
It does. A Hyundai I-20 car detonated near the Red Fort traffic signal, right by a busy metro station exit. I mean, think about that specific spot.
Yeah.
A typical evening traffic jam in Old Delhi, one of the most crowded parts of the capital. And the backdrop is the Red Fort itself, that huge 17th century UNESCO World Heritage Site.
So maximum visibility, maximum potential casualties.
Exactly. Maximum human exposure, maximum symbolic damage. Just brutal calculation.
And the descriptions from eyewitnesses, the CCTV footage, it's horrifying. A deafening roar, cars flipped over, debris flying, people just scattered.
Yeah, followed by this massive plume of fire lighting up the old walls of the fort. Someone apparently saw the car's underside actually glowing right before it blew.
Chilling. The immediate toll was just awful.
Catastrophic is the word. At least 13 people confirmed dead right away. Over 20 others fighting for their lives with terrible injuries, burns, shrapnel wounds.
And like you said earlier, the victims were just everyone. A complete cross-section of Delhi life.
Absolutely. Not one single group. You had
Right.
commuters trying to get home, street vendors packing up their stalls for the day, families just out for a walk, maybe enjoying the last bit of the Diwali atmosphere.
It really hits home when you read about who they were. Beyond the numbers, we know a local school teacher was killed, several office workers stuck in that traffic, and so tragically, a tourist. Someone likely just taking in the sights near the fort.
Yeah, it touched every part of the city's fabric. But what also comes through, especially in the accounts from LNJP Hospital, is this incredible resilience already starting to show. These stories, they're not just stats, right? They're glimpses of a community trying to heal. Like that 28-year-old engineer. He actually shielded his sister with his own body from the flying debris.
Wow.
And there was an elderly woman whose sari got singed. She'd been haggling over vegetables literally seconds before the explosion. Just a moment of total normalcy then.
Yeah.
Chaos.
Those personal stories are what make it real. It's not abstract then.
No.
And maybe that's why the Prime Minister's visit felt so important, so immediate. It wasn't just ticking a box. He listened, he heard those stories, and then he acted, putting out that message on X, formerly Twitter. Simple, direct. Praying for everyone's quick recovery, those behind the conspiracy will be brought to justice.
And that vow, that promise of justice, carried extra weight because of where he was when he first heard the news.
Yeah, he wasn't even in the country, was he?
No, he was wrapping up a pretty significant 2-day state visit to Bhutan. This was serious diplomatic work, inaugurating a huge hydroelectric project, the Punasangchi II, 1,020 megawatts,
Wow.
and confirming a new $450 million credit line. Big symbols of the relationship between the two countries. And then this news breaks from back home.
So you have this stark contrast, high-level diplomacy focused on cooperation and infrastructure, suddenly interrupted by brutal domestic terror.
Exactly. And he had to pivot immediately. On November 11th, the day after the blast, he's giving a public address in Thimphu, Bhutan, and he has to pause everything. He stops talking about the bilateral ties and addresses the horror in Delhi. He called it a deep conspiracy against our peace. That moment right there elevates it. It's not just a local tragedy anymore. It's a national security crisis with international implications.
And the response on the ground reflected that gravity.
Absolutely. The police didn't hesitate. India's tough anti-terrorism laws were invoked straight away. And then, adding another layer of concern,
What was that?
the very next day, there was a similar blast reported in Islamabad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that timing is unnerving. It immediately fuels suspicion that the Red Fort attack wasn't some isolated incident by a local group, but potentially part of something bigger, something coordinated across borders.
Which naturally shifts our focus from the immediate aftermath and the diplomatic reaction to the actual investigation, the intelligence work.
Precisely. And investigators quickly started pointing fingers at a specific network. They termed it the Jaish-e-Muhammad Doctor Module.
The Dr. Module. That part really jumps out.
It's incredibly chilling, isn't it? This is where our deep dive gets into some really disturbing territory.
Yeah.
We often think of terror cells as, maybe disenfranchised youth or hardcore militants.
Right.
But this Gem Doctor module, linked obviously to Jaish-e-Muhammad, the major terror group based in Pakistan, it involved trained medical professionals, people from institutions like Al-Falah Hospital in Haryana.
Doctors. Educated, presumably respected members of the community involved in terrorism.
That's what the investigation suggests.
Right.
And it completely changes the threat assessment. Think about it. Doctors blend in easily. They often have legitimate reasons to travel, access to resources, maybe even specialized knowledge.
And logistical know-how, moving around cities without raising suspicion.
Exactly. It points towards a level of calculated, sophisticated planning that goes way beyond your typical grassroots operation. We know names like Umar and Muzavil have come up in interrogations.
And arrests have been made.
Yes. The count was at 9 arrests fairly quickly. And investigators are digging deep now. They're going through call logs, travel records, cross-referencing Aadhaar details, that's India's national ID system, trying to map out everyone involved and how they moved.
So it's painstaking work following the digital and paper trail.
Very much so. And it's not just about the people. It's about the logistics. They're actively hunting for other vehicles this cell might have used. There's a specific alert out for a red Ford EcoSport.
Got the plea.
Yeah, DL10CK0458. They're searching for it across Delhi, neighboring Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. That hunt for just one car shows how spread out and potentially embedded this network might be.
Okay, so the network is sophisticated, using professionals, and potentially spread across multiple states. But what about the scope? Was the Red Fort blast the only plan?
That's the really frightening part. Intelligence sources started whispering about much broader plans. The Red Fort attack was horrific, yes, but it might have been just one piece of a larger campaign.
What else were they potentially planning?
Well, the information suggests there were plans, possibly aborted, for multiple attacks during Diwali. The festival period, huge crowds everywhere.
Oh, man.
And even more alarming, investigators apparently found evidence that they'd conducted prior surveillance reconnaissance on major Republic Day targets.
Republic Day, like January 26th?
Yes. High-profile symbolic locations. We're talking about India Gate,
Yeah.
the Gauri Shankar Temple, and Chandni Chowk, another very significant crowded place.
That level of ambition, targeting national symbols, major public gatherings, it has echoes of the 2008 Mumbai attacks, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
That kind of coordination and target selection suggests a very serious operational capability.
Yeah.
And to reinforce that cross-border angle we mentioned,
Yeah.
the investigation also flagged a possible link to Lashkar-e-Taiba, another major Pakistan-based group, possibly through a figure named Talha Saeed.
So potentially Jem and Lati involved?
The possibility suggests a potential pooling of resources, or at least strategic alignment, between these major groups for this operation, which is deeply concerning.
So let's just pause and absorb that. We've gone from the immediate shock of the blast, the human tragedy, the Prime Minister's response, to uncovering this incredibly sophisticated terror network, using educated professionals, conducting surveillance on major national landmarks.
It's a lot to take in. The key takeaway really is this duality. On one side, you see the incredible strength, the resilience of the city, of the people at LNJP, that determination to heal.
That fierce mending, as you called it.
Exactly. But pushing against that is the undeniable reality of these highly organized, ruthless forces working to shatter that peace. It's a constant tension.
And the nation heard that vow of justice, right? That the perpetrators will face the consequences, unyielding, like the Red Fort stones.
Yes. But the final thought, the question that lingers now, is just how deep does this rabbit hole go? If this conspiracy really does stretch from hospital wards in Haryana across state lines, potentially involving multiple major terror groups and crossing international borders.
How much more digging is needed?
Exactly. How much deeper do investigators have to go to truly unearth every single layer of this plot? That's the question hanging heavy over Delhi right now.